Okay guys, so in this video, we're going to do a quick rundown of how to use the pads properly when training with a partner. So obviously they've either got a strap or a buckle on them, so you want to make sure that's secured nicely around there. Some of them have got one, some of them have got two, just depends on the size of the pad, okay? Now when we grab it, we want to grip our fingers through and the thumb will sit on the outside, okay? We don't want to hold it on the inside like this, because if the person hits and it comes through, our thumb's tucked on the inside there, it's going to end up doing some damage to the knuckles there. So make sure it's held on the outside, the thumb grips it nice and tight, and you're pulling the pad in, okay? So hands on the outside, thumbs in, and make sure those buckles are nice and tight before you get started. So first things first, we're going to start with the punches, just your basic jab, cross, hook, and how to catch them with the pads, okay? So we want to be in our stance as well to match the person. We want to make sure that we're using the opposite pad, so we're throwing it across the person, okay? So if we were throwing our jab, our lead hand, we're going to match it as well. So it's basically just like we're throwing a punch at the same time. We're giving a little bit of a feedback and by hitting their hand with the pad, okay? So we don't want to aim up here, so when they punch it, they're going to travel down. We want to make sure we're aiming in the middle of the pad. As they punch, we hit them as well, gives them that feedback that they can bring their hand back to their face, okay? Now, another thing with that is, when we're holding pads for punches, when we say give feedback so there's power going back through the person, when we're hitting it, all we want to do is do this. We don't want to overcompensate it. So if she throws a jab cross, I'm going like that. That's too much, okay? So that's like they're not even getting their full extension on their power. All it is just a little connection at the end where I'm dropping my weight into it, okay? I'm not going like this and hitting her. All I'm doing is just using my body and just transferring her power back through her. Okay. So same with the rear hand is the same. All we're doing is just, it's like we're throwing a punch. As Nakia throws it, I twist as well, and I'm just hitting the pad, giving a little bit of a pop as the hand lands, okay? So as she punches, I go pop, 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 okay? Now for the jab cross together, all we're doing is just throwing punches the same. See how I'm turning? I'm turning myself through the punch. Okay, so we don't want to do, when we're catching for punches, is do this, okay? So one, it's too high for the person, and we've got no feedback. So if they do land a hard punch, it's going to bend my arm back, and it's going to really send my shoulder back through my body, okay? So we want to be the stronger than they are with the punches. So we want to be jab, cross, okay? Jab, cross. So I'm giving good feedback on the punch, okay? It gives them that they're allowed to punch a lot harder as well. Okay, so with the hook, it's a little bit different. Because the punch is coming from the side, we want to make sure the pad is facing this way because the punch is going to travel through. Instead of going straight, it's going to travel around to the side, okay? So as Nakia throws the hook, all I'm doing is just opening the pad up from there to there, okay? So if she threw a jab cross hook, I go 1, 2 straight, and then just open that pad up on that side, catching it, okay? All right guys, so with the uppercut, it's a little bit different. The punch is going to travel from the ground to the sky, okay? So what we've got to do here is, when we're holding for our straight punches, we're going here. When we're holding for the hook, it's up here. Now with the uppercut, all we've got to do is turn it and throw it up, okay? So all we're doing is, because they need a surface to travel a punch up to, all we're doing is going down on the punch. It's the same thing, a little bit of feedback. We don't want to hit it down like this because it's going to travel back through. It's just a little bit of resistance there for that punch, okay? So when we're here, we've got our straight punches, okay? Now with the body rip, because it's on this side, all we're doing is mimicking the rib cage. So holding it on an angle at that height where the person can load and throw the punch there, okay? So all we're doing is basically we're going from here, where we'd catch for a punch, we're going to the side, and hold in there. Same thing, tuck it into the body tight. We don't want it here because if it goes through, the person punches, it can fly off. So you want it nice and tight, okay? Locking everything in on the side there. Using your body for the weight as they throw it and leaning into it a tiny bit. Just giving that little bit of feedback, okay? One more time, good. So all it is we're going to create the kick. They're aiming for the rib area. We want the pads in a V, okay? We don't want them straight like that, because if she kicks, the only way that pad's going to go, straight back into my face. So we want to create a V, so we've got a strong base against it. As she kicks, all I do is just lean my weight into the kick, okay? Now I don't mean lean my weight by putting my head like this, because if she does miss, my pads travel from here to here, she's just going to kick me right in the face hole, okay? So from here, all I'm doing is I'm standing tall and I'm just dropping my weight into the kick, okay? Again, one more, good. So V and drop the weight down into the kick, okay? Same thing, we don't want to overcompensate and kick as she does it. We don't want to do this and hit, because there's too many room for error. If you go too quick, she goes too slow on the kick, she throws it, it's going to land and hit you in the face, okay? So wait for it. Best part is from here, that they're going to land it through, a little bit of weight in there, and just that little bit of feedback on the kick. Now when you're doing the pads, you want to aim for the bottom of the pad where they're holding it. So if I'm holding the V here, you want to aim for the bottom of it. So then you're going to hit the middle of the target. So if you aim here, you're going to end up realistically hitting the middle. If you aim for the middle, you're going to go closer to the top. And when you go closer to the top, the person gets a little bit scared that you're going to get closer and go over the top of them. So the pad goes higher and higher and higher every time. So make sure you're always aiming for the bottom of it, and then you'll hit the center of the pad, okay? Another thing with the pads is, reason why we want to keep them nice and tight is because it keeps our elbows locked out. We can put our weight behind it when she throws the kick. If I've got them out here and she throws that kick, it's just going to travel my arms all over the place, okay? And the kick's going to go straight up, which we don't want. The whole idea is the kick's going to travel through the body. So we have them close to the body because that's the target, and they're kicking through, okay? So we don't want them up here. One, the arms will go flying if they put power into it, and the kick goes straight. We want them nice and close and tuck it in. Okay, so holding the pads for a teep or a push kick. It's a little bit different. We've got to make sure that we've got enough of a target for the person's whole foot, okay? So obviously they're going to teep at the body height. So if Nakia throws the teep, she wants it to be at that height, okay, the stomach. So what we want to do, we want to tuck the bottom pad in against the stomach and the other one on top. So one's kind of pointing down and this one's pointing up. So they've got a base to push off, okay? So same thing, we want to lock ourselves in nice and tight. As they push, we just lean into it. Give it a little bit of feedback there, okay? Again, good. So one pad is down across, the other pad sits high on top, and we lock our arms in and we push against that pad, okay? As they teep, a bit of feedback there, okay? Okay guys, so now we're going to start to hold pads for the knees, all right? So it's similar to holding for a teep, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that if we've got this pad across here, this one's sitting in the groove just so the knee doesn't travel up as much, and we've got to catch it in case it goes through. And obviously they're trying to push the knee into you. So they're kind of aiming for the top of this one, and this one's supporting so it doesn't go over the top, and they're kind of pushing into you. Same thing, a little bit of resistance in there. Tuck the arms in nice and tight and push into it with your weight. So first we'll start with the rear leg chop. So all we're going to do is we're holding the pad with our knuckle on the outside, and we're going to tuck the hand on the outside of the leg, okay? So we don't want the knuckle on the thigh, because if they kick it, it's just going to drive that knuckle in. We want to sit it across the back of the leg, just under the butt there. So when they kick, it's just going to turn into your leg, okay? So as she kicks, we just turn into it and just take the weight of that kick. Okay, right across underneath the butt there on the top of the leg, just so they can kick across. Okay, and just taking that weight as she kicks, just a little bit of weight into it. Okay, and the inside leg kick is exactly the same. All we're doing is just holding the pad on the inside of the leg, okay? So if we're here, all we're doing is just holding it here, and the kick, okay? So all we're doing is just, as they kick, just moving our body away from it. That way, if they kick it, they'll just kick the arm away if it's too hard, okay? So we don't want to hold it here and let them kick, okay? We want to make sure, until they've got good accuracy, it's just here. Give them that target, move the leg, and it will just move out of the way, all right? Okay guys, that's it for the pad holding video. If you have any problems in the classes with how to hold the pads, make sure you refer back to this video, and we look forward to seeing you guys in there.